Hey guys, welcome to February. This is our February tutorial. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you guys how to not only set up the files, but also how to assemble our 3D birthday cards. Now this card has got 5 layers on the inside as well as the cover on the outside. We're going to be going over how to do the print and cut method. I'm going to show you both how to do it on a Cricut and also how to do it on a Silhouette. Before we get started, I want to show you what the files are here in this project folder. So you'll notice that the top is _project, and this contains all of the files that you will need. Now, if your file structure looks a little bit different than this, most likely you downloaded this before February 2nd. So I updated these files on February 2nd. Please make sure that you download the latest and greatest versions. Because I added an envelope, I added a couple of different variations here. So basically what you're going to need to cut, you need the frame, the back of the frame, and that's going to look like this. You will need the front of the frame, and there are several different variations, but basically it's going to look something like this. So you just choose one. And I added a couple of different versions here just in case. So you just choose one of the front. It's just a frame. It's got a hole in it so that you can see all of the cool stuff that's inside. So that's the second thing. And then the third thing you'll need is either this version or this version. This version is with the outlines. This is all the layers. So you've got layers 1 through 5 of the card. And so this one has the outlines. So if you look at this, this is just the outlines. This is the version that I recommend using for print and cut. So you will print this, it will have these black outlines, and then you'll color it in with either colored pencils or markers. That is what I used for the examples that you guys saw, and I think it turned out beautifully. So I think this version is really nice if you guys want to do print and cut, and I'm going to show you guys in this tutorial how to do print and cut. The second version is the version with the solids. Now this contains the 5 layers as well, just like I talked about before, but in this version we've got solid pieces. And the reason that you might want to use solid pieces is if you wanted to cut these out in vinyl. So you would treat this just like any other SVG file, any other cut file that you have. You could just cut these out on different pieces of vinyl, and then the back part that's white, you would cut this out on the white cardstock. And then once you've got everything cut out, you could take the piece of vinyl, adhesive vinyl, and you would stick it here, you would stick it here, you would stick the gifts here, you would just put everything in place, and you've got a really cool looking card. So that's an option for those of you who either don't have a printer, don't have access to a printer, or you just want to have the look of vinyl because that looks cool too. So you choose between outlines and solids. And then the fourth item here is the envelope. Now there are 2 versions of the envelope. There is one that is just all one piece. This is for smaller cards, and this includes the score lines here. Or there's the version with the 2 pieces, and this is best suited for larger sized cards. So you could use this, cut it out to the size that's appropriate for you, and then you would use that to put the card in. Now we will go over how to set up the files with Cricut Design Space. After this, I will show you how to set it up in Silhouette Studio. The first thing you need to do is you want to go ahead and upload the file. So you just go ahead and click the upload button right here. Click upload image, and then you want to browse. And you want to go ahead and go into your files. Now mine look a little bit different from yours because these are not finalized yet, but you want to go into your _project file. I'm going to choose the layers with the outlines. I'm going to start with layer 1, and I'm going to choose the SVG file. And this is the frontmost layer. This has the 2 balloons, and it's got the 2 gifts right here. So I'm going to click save, and now I'm going to click on what I just uploaded, and then I'm going to click insert images. And so it's imported this entire image here for me, and it shows me all of the different layers here. Now what I want to do is the first thing I want to do is I want to right click and ungroup. Okay, and now this allows me to choose specific elements of this and to do different things with it. Now this line and this line, these are meant for scoring. If you don't have a scoring tool, you can just hit the X button and it will disappear. If you do have a scoring tool, what you want to do is you want to insert your scoring tool into your machine, of course, and it's really easy to do. All you do is you just put it in, open the little latch, and then you close it. And so what you can do is you click on this, go over here to where it says line type, and then you want to change that to score. Again, over here, line type and score. Again, if you don't have a scoring tool, don't worry about this at all. It's really easy to make a score line with a ruler and a pen that has no ink, like a ballpoint pen that has no ink. That's another way. So that's how you get the score lines. And then the second thing that you want to do is, if you are planning on printing these lines, you're going to do a print and cut and you want these black lines to show. What you want to do is you want to click right here, drag all the way down. You want to make sure to get all the lines from here to there, excluding the score line. So that's why we've got this specific box selected, okay? And so now all of this stuff right here is selected other than these two score lines. And what you want to do is you want to go down here and you want to click flatten. Okay? Now, it looks like the score lines have disappeared, but actually they're just underneath. They're layered underneath, so you can't see them. So if you want to be able to see them, what you can do is you can just move them back up on top. And so now you can see them again. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to highlight everything, and we want to make sure that these all stay together. So what we need to do is we need to click this paper clip down here and click attach. And that just ensures that when you go to click make it, that all these pieces stay positioned in the same place. And then before we go ahead and send this to the printer and then to the machine, is we want to make sure that this is the right size. Now, the size that I did 6.5 inches high for all of my cards. So if you want to do the same size that I did, you can do 6.5. The basic rule is you just want the height of all of the cuts that you make, the cover, the insides, everything to be the same. So whatever you choose for the height for this, you're going to do the same thing for all of them. So I did 6.5 inches. And then now I am ready to go ahead and print. So you just want to go ahead and click make it. And it sets up this, what it does is it automatically sets up this registration box here. And it says right here, print, score, cut. And so I'm just going to go ahead and click continue. And then what you can do is you can click send to printer, and it'll just set up this entire thing. You can just choose your printer, choose the number of copies you want to do, add bleed. Now what this does is you could see that there's kind of a thick gray line here along the edges where it will be cutting. If you are doing the coloring version, or actually any print and cut version, I would recommend to go ahead and include the bleed, but you do not have to. If you find that you don't like the way it looks, you are more than welcome to just switch that off, and then it just doesn't include the bleed there. So play around with that, see what you like. Go ahead and click print.
Okay, so my sheet has been printed, and I've actually printed all 5 sheets. It's got this solid border all the way around, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually color in all of the shapes with my markers. Once I'm done coloring everything, then I will go on to the next step, which is actually cutting each sheet. And so a couple things I want to point out here. First of all, I'm using my blue mat. This is the light grip mat. If you have that, that would be great. It just helps to prevent the paper from actually sticking to the mat and tearing. If you don't, I've seen some people use green with success. Maybe an older mat would work really well. But the other thing I want to point out is you'll notice here that there is a light shining underneath the blade. And that light is right now, it's actually trying to detect where the print lines are, where those registration marks are. And it's helping the cutter to determine exactly where it needs to cut. It's trying to see where it needs to cut. So it's doing some math right now, and it's just trying to figure out everything. So as it's running through, it's just going to cut in the places where we've identified with those red lines that were on our screen earlier. And then once it's done, you could just remove the outside, maybe use part of it for scrap paper. And then I've got my, my layer for the card. And you just want to do this for all of the layers.
Now, if you have gone through the entire print and cut process and you have found that the lines are not cutting in the correct place, if it's a little off, what you might need to do is calibrate your machine. And so what you want to do is you want to go to the upper left hand corner to this hamburger menu, click on it, and then right here it says calibration. Calibration is really easy to do. You would just click print then cut. It's going to ask you to print a sheet, and then you're going to place the sheet on the mat, follow the instructions. It's really easy to do. Okay, so next I'm going to show you what I'm doing in Silhouette Studio. So the first thing you want to do is you want to go to design page settings, and that is this icon right here. And you want to just go ahead and adjust it to a letter size, which is 8.5 by 11, or you could just manually adjust it here, 8.5 by 11. Next, you want to click Show Print Border. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open my file, click File, Open. These are my project files right over here. So the underscore project contains the back of the frame, the front of the frame, and then the layers with the outlines. This is the one that you're going to do if you're going to be coloring. And then this is the one that you're going to do if you're actually going to be cutting out the balloon, cutting out, you know, each of the individual pieces on vinyl, and then you're going to be sticking it. So I am going to do this is the print and cut version on top here, the layers with the outlines. So we'll start with layer 1 and just go ahead and click on the SVG file if you have the designer edition or above, or the DXF file. For now, I am going to choose the SVG file, and then I will go back and show you how to do the DXF. Click OK. And so it inserts the file right on the page here. And then what you want to do is you want to right click and ungroup this. Now, this includes the score lines.
Now there is actually a way to make a perforation with these lines. I'm not going to cover that in this tutorial, but if you guys would like, I could create a separate tutorial showing you how to do that.
If not, you can actually just delete each one of those. So I'm just going to delete this, and then I am going to go ahead and highlight this whole thing, and I'm going to group it again. You can just right click and group. And then the next thing I want to do, okay, so we want to go to the cut settings, which is the second to the last button over here. And then what you want to do is you want to, again, click on your design, and then you want to choose cut edge. And so you'll notice that there's a red outline all the way around. And then in here, there are red outlines in here. And this is exactly where this is going to cut. Don't forget to size this according to the size that you want. And so you'll just want to keep the height consistent across all of the individual pieces. We need to set the registration marks. Click over here. This is the registration marks window. This is the fifth to the last icon here. And what you want to do is you want to click on style. Just click on type 1. Okay, and so you can see you've got the square, you've got these brackets over here, and it just kind of has created a registration mark. I have found that the thickness needs to be turned all the way up. The other thing was just keeping this as far out and up as possible, because you can actually adjust. You can adjust where this prints.
but keep in mind that some printers might cut this off or cut the bottom off. So you may need to do a test print just to make sure that all of these registrations come onto your page. So if you do have trouble with the cuts not being aligned, another thing that you can do is you can actually calibrate your machine. So what you want to do is you want to go to this tab right here. This is the very last tab. You want to right click on this start menu and you can click calibration. And you'll see a page that looks something like this. I'm not going to go through the entire calibration process. If you would like to learn more about how to do that, you guys can either check YouTube, just type Silhouette Cameo calibration for print and cut, or if you guys want, I can do a separate tutorial on that. Just let me know.
Okay, so all you need to do is you just do Control P or Command P, and it's going to print this this sheet of paper. It's got all these registration marks on it. This is what it looks like, and I've got my Prismacolor colored pencils. You can use any kind of colored pencils, markers, whatever you want. And I'm just coloring these in. One technique that I like to do is I like to get two similarly colored, or even three colors, and I just kind of blend them together just to kind of give it a little bit more depth. And I think this is where all the character comes out in this birthday card. So feel free to get creative and make it look really unique. So now I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it on my Silhouette mat. You want to go ahead and load it, and then you want to start the cut. And you can see that there is a light that is detecting the registration marks, and it is going to cut everything accordingly. So here I've got my my single first layer. You're going to want to go ahead and cut all the other 4 layers as well. Okay, so now I'm going to show you guys how to assemble this card. So the first thing that we want to do is let's go ahead and identify all the pieces. So we've got the front with the window, and we've got the back. And then we also have the first layer has the gifts, and the second layer has the lower tier of the cake. The third layer has the middle tier of the cake with the banner on the top. And the fourth layer has the candles. And then the fifth layer is the smallest layer, and it has the 2 balloons. Another easy way is you could tell that it gets smaller. But also I want to point out that the height of these cards, it's all the same. So you want to make sure that the height of everything is equal. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is I'm just going to show you a really easy way that you can score cards. I just got a pen that has no ink left in it. It's an old pen, and all you need to do is you just take a ruler, and it's kind of a ballpoint pen, so it's a little bit round on the tip, and you just press it down, make a line, and that pressure there just creates a score line, and it just makes it easy for you to be able to fold all the tabs where they need to be folded. And then there's this bone folder that I bought. You can also use a popsicle stick, but basically you just want to reinforce that scored line there because it just makes it easier when we're actually putting it all together. So, and then you also want to just go through and score all of the tabs on the left and right sides of all of the middle 5 layers. And then just make sure that you fold it really nicely, and you can reinforce it with either the boning tool or the popsicle stick. Okay, now this is my favorite part. So we've got our piece with the window, and that is the front cover. And what I'm doing is I'm creating 5 equally distant lines between the 2 score marks. And it doesn't have to be exact, but you know, we're just trying to have them be equally spaced because this is where the layers are going to go. So I've just created some vertical lines there. And what we do is we turn it over and we start with the very, very last layer. And you want to take that last layer, and then I've got some double-sided tape.
You can also use other kinds of adhesive as long as it's super strong. I found this to be really convenient because I could just tear it off. And so you just apply it and then you kind of peel the backing. I actually ended up using my cool needle weeding tool. My pin weeding tool was very convenient. Pulled that off, and then I had the adhesive on that side. And then what you can do is you can kind of fold the card there, the tab there, and just apply it right next to the line, and see how you just kind of flip it over. And then you're just going to do the same thing for each layer. And it doesn't really matter which direction the tab is facing, as long as you start from just start from one side of the card and just work your way to the other side of the card. Don't do like I did about 5 million times and just get the order wrong. So make sure that you get the order right so that you don't have to try to remove it like I did. Learn from my mistakes, guys. So this part is just takes a little bit of patience, but yeah, just make sure that you're aligning these vertically, and it kind of starts to look like a little book. Okay, so I've got all 5 layers on, and it looks like the pages of a book. And then what I did was I just fold all these pieces back again, and you want to fold them completely flat. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take the tab that's on the right side and just add some more tape or glue or adhesive. And then you want to actually put the back cover up against it. So just make sure that you're not putting the 2 tabs together. It's one tab that goes against the flat side. And then what I'm doing here is I'm applying more adhesive onto all of the other tabs of the individual layers. Okay, so now all 5 layers have got the adhesive on here. And what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to lay everything completely flat, just flatten it out. And then I'm going to fold the back cover back over and just press it up against the adhesive so that it's completely flat. And just rub it a couple times just to make sure that it really sticks. And then you flip it over, and then you want to glue the other tab to the other side. And then once you do that, then it is completely done, you guys. And you can either use a pre-made envelope, which is what I'm using here. I found a 5x7 envelope, or you can use the envelope pattern that I included in the design folder. And don't forget to post your finished project on Instagram using the hashtag VIP Crafters Club. Also post it in our Facebook group as well, because those entries get considered also. And be participating and be commenting, because the top contributors also get considered and will get entered into the drawing. So I hope you guys enjoyed this fun project. If you guys have any questions at all, please feel free to let me know. And I hope to see you guys at the crafting party where we can make this together.